Hey gang, welcome back to Better Call Sexton. We have got a full docket for you today, but before we begin, remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It really does help the channel, and check us out at sextonshow.com. Today's docket, a full one. Friend of the show, Akaash Singh, having some public marital woes happening out there. I'm going to weigh in on that as if anybody really needed my opinion on it. We talk about the private lives of public figures, including Jeffrey Epstein and the myriad of people who've taken his jet. And we talk about AI, artificial intelligence, the effect it's having on our culture. We do a Sexton-ism, all this and more. Let's get after it.
All right, Jim, we got a sensitive one here. Something we got to talk about, but I am afraid to dive into it too much.
I was young. I needed the money. I didn't even know they were filming. Wait, it's not. Never mind. Scratch that. Strike that. Matt, edit that out. Yeah, edit. Okay, good. Thank you.
This is somebody we both know, and their relationship is kind of on display in the public eye right now. We have Akaash Singh from Flagrant and his wife Jasleen have been all over social media with what people are taking sides and kind of picking apart their relationship. The crux of it seems to be that she has said some things about when she was single, how she was moving, and it kind of contradicts what Akaash has said. And then there's some videos of them kind of arguing with each other and having spats, and it's turned into this. It's kind of snowballed and gotten out of control.
Yeah, and it's being presented in an extremely uncharitable way towards both of them.
Akaash only dates brown. Akaash has been with one girl in his life who is his wife.
That's my wife. That's an Indian woman.
So this is like loyal through and through.
Okay. Sometimes I get so painfully nostalgic for college. I was popping my and living my best life in these white boy frat houses.
I'm actively trying to have an orgy and you haven't seen Nav yet, but wait till you see him. His body goes crazy.
Like, from what I can see, like, everyone in the red pill manosphere space is just beating him up right now and saying, like, oh, he's a simp and he's that. And then, you know, everyone on the other end of it is saying, you know, like, hey, he doesn't have a right to suppress her speech. And, you know, she has the right to say whatever she wants to say. I have yet to see anyone actually cover this in any kind of mature way yet. Look, I think as someone who's met Akaash, I enjoyed, you know, I've been on Flagrant before, I've been on Mark's show before. I have such respect for all those guys. I enjoy their content. I enjoy their conversations. I think they're all smart, funny people with a point of view. And Akaash has been a very brave, I think, guy in terms of taking positions. Like, he's not afraid to, like, just say what he thinks about things. And I really respect him for that. First of all, look, this is a marriage between two people. It's in the modern zeitgeist. She is someone who is trying to find her own voice and her own platform and her own point of view that she can express to an audience. And she's trying to find her own audience. And right now, and for many years, talking crap about your spouse for a heterosexual woman, you can't go wrong. Women love it. They eat it up. They look at it and they go, hey, stars, they're just like us. Look at this. This guy's a popular guy. He's a comedian, but like, he's a clown to his wife. You know, his wife, like, no man's a hero to his butler. You know, like, she just looks at him and she's like, oh, he's just that goofball. Do I think that that's a healthy dynamic long-term for a relationship? No, I think it's really, really bad. And I really hope that this becomes like a teachable moment for both of them about how to be a little more like fragile with each other's feelings and treat their marriage like what it is, which is love is loaned. It's not permanently gifted. Because, you know, constructive criticism, like if what she is saying, I think the most charitable view of this is the negative things she says about him and the things she talks about her, like what's mine is ours, or what's ours is mine and what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine, like that kind of vibe.
Any man that doesn't want to have a joint bank account or isn't being transparent with his accounts or has separate accounts, that's a red flag. This is not a two-way street. This is a one-way street. His money is our money, and my money is my money.
Even if that's meant as tongue-in-cheek, even if that's meant as just sort of like the girl boss funny thing, it has to be painful for him to hear from time to time. And it does hold his reputation up to a negative place, right? And none of us really wants to be like tearing our spouse down, harming their reputation. We really should be in a position where we want to build that person up and elevate them. I feel for Akaash because I think there's no doubt that he loves this woman, and there's no doubt that he's committed to her. He has been very public about his affection for her. He's been very public about the fact they didn't have a prenup. He's been very public about the fact that he credits her for a lot of his success, all of which I think are really worthwhile sentiments. Like, and anybody who looks at that and goes, oh, you're a simp because you say that, you know what? You're deranged if you're saying that, because I think that acknowledging that someone has been part of your success, that this person makes you feel good about who you are and your point of view and makes you feel confident and move confidently in the world. I think these are all very positive traits. But look, it's got to be weathering on him. It's got to be difficult for him to take this level of criticism from people. I think some of the things that she's said are probably out of order. But look, you know what? I also, and at the risk of sounding misogynist when I say this, because it's not meant from a place of misogyny, I really do think that sometimes women vent in different ways than men. Like, women have been, a culture has been created, a climate has been created where women can get on a mic and talk about my husband's an idiot. And they're not going to get pilloried the way, if he got on and he said, my wife's an idiot, it would be considered like an act of domestic violence to some degree. Whereas if a woman talks crap about her spouse, it's really kind of considered cute and charming, because a lot of women's emotions are like clouds. They sort of are there, they emote about it, and then they feel a little better. I have not heard this woman say things that are like irreparable harm to the relationship. She has not said, you know, look, she's talked about other guys being attractive. She's talked about, like, she's said some things that I think there's probably been some uncomfortable conversations at home. But look, the only two people that need to be happy in a relationship are the two people that are in it. And everybody else can shut the fuck up. Like, because if they're happy and they've got a dynamic that works for the two of them and they know what they mean to each other, that's all that really matters. But advice-wise, if anyone asks my opinion on this, just don't talk crap about your spouse. Don't belittle your spouse. Don't openly criticize your spouse on a public forum. Like, I just don't think it's a good look. I don't think, even if it gets a lot of likes and comments and engagement, it's just not worth it. Like, you want this person in your corner. You know, this is an intelligent, successful person who's on his way up. She is an intelligent woman who's on her way up. Like, there is no reason the two of them should not be supporting each other in a positive way and not, you know, going at each other in a negative way. Even when he says on the show, as he did on the episode that I was on of Flagrant, even when he says anything vaguely critical of her, it is always with so much throat clearing before about, hey, I love my wife, she's amazing, but sometimes women be shopping or whatever it is. Like, and that is a different thing. And it hits different when you hear it than the way that she's just. So maybe some of this is also too that she's still kind of new to broadcasting. Like, one of the things about that show, they're all stand-up comics. Like, they're all stand-up comics. So they are really comfortable walking in the minefield of ideas in a way that, like, and looking like they're improvising when in fact they've really thought a lot of stuff through. She is newer to the performance art than they are, right? Like, I'm not a stand-up comic, but I've been performing for 25 years at a courtroom in front of a hostile audience. So I've got a certain vibe with that too, that I'm comfortable. Give the woman a break. She's like on the come up. She's trying to resonate with an audience. She's trying to say things that the girls are gonna go, yes, queen. And she's found some of those things. Is she going to learn that maybe that's not the best approach to take if you want to have a lasting connected bond and you don't want to have your spouse have a hard time and have all of his friends giving him shit? I think she's probably already learned that. So let's see if there's any shift in tone. But I think everybody, and it's not just because he's like friend of the show and someone who I respect and like, I really think it's ultimately something everybody just needs to kind of calm down about, because it's really between the two of them. Let them have whatever it is they're going to have between the two of them and sort it out, and give people room to back out of these things. You know, if you make it too partisan, people get entrenched in their positions and they start defending things they don't really want to defend, and they start getting really, really, you know, piled down into that position. I don't think that's good either. I think just let these people have a little room. There's a young couple at the end of the day.
So opening this up into a general conversation,
yeah,
I think a big element in this one as well is his job and what he does matters, right? Because he went at Fresh and Fit and had his opinions, and now they want to come back at him, and it's almost like whether you might be a politician, you might be an entertainer, whatever your career is, does kind of play into your relationship.
100%. Look, and you know, I have no, like Myron and Walter are friends. I represented Walter. People know that. You know, it was pretty public when I represented him. So I, you know, these are all people that I don't think there's any bad actors in this situation. I don't think anybody, I think everyone is like looking at this from their point of view, and to a person with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. You know, so Akaash loves his wife, so she can do no wrong because he loves her, right? Fresh and Fit have been very anti-misandrist things. They've been very pro-male. They're very much about like, hey, you know, like women are just looking to get the bag and then dump you. So you got to figure out how to kind of get your vibe in with them, and that's it. Abba and Preach, the same thing. That's why those guys hate each other, because they're both kind of in the same space, and it's kind of a civil war. These are all people with a point of view, and they all are finding evidence to support their existing theories. Like confirmation bias is what's kicking in here, you know? And so, of course, like they're looking at him and look, he committed pretty heavily to a position early on. His wife is now saying some things that make him held to disrespect, and they're going to pillory him for it. That's fair play. Like, I don't think that's not fair play because he committed to these prepositions. You know, I don't think, for example, that if someone is closeted and gay, they should be pulled out of the closet. But if they're a Republican senator who's like passing anti-gay legislation and they're blowing people at a rest stop, you know what? Drag their ass out of the closet because they've weaponized their false position. So I think it's the same kind of thing here. Like people are calling out and saying like, well, wait a minute, you said this, but now this is what's going on publicly. How do you resonate those two things with each other? How do you square those away with each other? And that's fair comment. Again, though, I just think the easy take on this is they need to get divorced. They need to get divorced. It is way easier to slam a door shut than to keep it open. It is way easier to just end relationships and go, hey, there's 8 billion people in the world. I'll find another one. Than it is to try to go, hey, wait, where did we get this wrong? How can we course correct? How can we preserve? Like there's nothing wrong in this relationship that can't be fixed by what's right in this relationship, you know, like, and that's what you really need to figure out here is like, these are two people who clearly have a great affection for each other. They don't have kids yet, you know, but they're committed to each other. And before everybody starts like throwing this relationship on the fire and going, they have to get divorced, you know, that might be treating dandruff with decapitation. We don't need to necessarily do that. Maybe it's a good opportunity to just have the two of them use this as a learning experience. We can all learn from it about what not to say publicly about your partner and move forward. Who knew the divorce lawyer was going to be the like, hey, stay together, folks. Golly, gee whiz.
A lot of what this boils down to also is the public's interest in what goes on behind closed doors in people's lives, especially if they are prominent names, and no better example of that in today's zeitgeist than what goes on with Jeffrey Epstein. The list, the emails, the
it's not just Epstein, clients. It's that list.
The list is
it's
really
the
where
like,
gets...
wait, Stephen Hawking, Bill Gates, Bill Clinton. Like Bill Clinton, everyone was like, all right, that guy's, you know, he's looking to have a good time. But like a lot of the people on that list, you're like, wait, who? Like this is like the most boring white boy convention in the history of the world. There's a lot of khakis going on in this Epstein Express here, this Lolita Express. Yeah, I mean, look, I think as someone who represents a lot of public figures and gets to see their private lives as a result of it, I will tell you, they're human. And they're prone to all the insanity and depravity and addiction and chaos that anybody else is. And some of them that you think would be like I've represented some musicians, some rock stars that I was like convinced they were going to be like shooting heroin and they're like the most boring people in the world. They're like, well, I really want to keep the Peloton bike. And you're like, what? Like I thought you were so much cooler than this, you know, like it's never meet your heroes. I have to tell you, a couple of them I've met and I've been like, oh, you're so lame. Like it's kind of cool to know because I don't feel so bad for going to bed at 8 p.m. now, but man, like I really thought you were going to be like cool, you know, but a lot of times, like, yeah, the private lives of public figures. I mean, we're fascinated by it because we have a whole fiction in our head of what our life would be like if we had this person's power or celebrity. And sometimes it's true. I mean, sometimes power and celebrity it's a Molotov cocktail, man. I mean, it really creates opportunities for people to just be wildly irresponsible. I don't want to give you the wrong impression. Most of the time, the rock stars that I represent, they are sleeping with that many groupies. Like they are engaged in that much alcoholism and drugs. Like they do need one pill to get up for the show and then one pill to get to sleep after the show and then lots of booze poured over the whole thing. Which is, by the way, why so many of them eventually 10, 20 years into their career are like doing yoga and eating vegan and all are sober because you can't sustain that lifestyle over a long trajectory, you know? So you all end up like, you know, Keith Richards and Mick Jagger who are like doing yoga on the tour bus and nobody smokes anymore. But look, the private lives of public figures are fascinating to us. Does not matter how crazy someone looks, they might be really normal. And it doesn't matter how normal someone looks, they might be really crazy. And I have to tell you, when you get to read people's text messages, you are shocked at like, wow, how lame other people's infidelity reads. Like I really shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. we sometimes have dramatic readings at lunchtime in the conference room.
No.
Where, we'll read the texts. Yeah, like you be the boyfriend and I'll be the secret girlfriend and and we'll sit there and be like, baby, when you were inside me last night, it couldn't have been better. What? I didn't know why you were crying, and then we'll start laughing about like, I don't know, because I was like, why am I sleeping with this loser? Or ow, you're hitting my cervix. I don't know. It could be anything, But ultimately, like you're the stuff that you do in the shadows. It's not as cool when third parties are looking at it from like a helicopter view in a conference room. So, it feels really good in the moment of it, but like reading people's emails, like I had a case. Yeah, I can say this. It won't identify anybody. I had a case where I was representing a woman and she found not only that her husband was going to prostitutes like regularly, like 2-3 a week, but there was apparently a review site that you could like review your experiences with prostitutes.
Yelp for hookers?
Yeah, basically. It was like that. It was a review site. And this guy was like the Cormac McCarthy. Like he was like Vonnegut. Like he would write these long, I mean, I can't believe I remember this because this is years ago. One of them was, I felt like a Greek god as I plunged into her ass. Oh. And I just remember like, and by the way, this was the most schlubby. He was like a tax lawyer. Like he looked like a dude who would be a tax lawyer. Like he was like a fat, kind of balding, like, and he was writing about these depraved things he was doing with these hookers. And imagine like not just finding out that your spouse is like getting their freak on with sex workers, but then that they've reviewed it. And they've written these long, sweeping reviews that are like very literary in nature. And she read every damn one of them. And needless to say, she was like amped up. And I just remember I could never look at him the same because I like wanted to, like I read all of these because my client wanted me to read them all and see which had evidentiary value. And I just remember looking at this guy and thinking, really? Like you were plunging into people's butthole like a Greek guy? Okay. I mean, good on you, I guess.
Putting butthole and plunge in your review is just not a good idea.
Butthole and plunge is just not a, like, that's not a, it's not a great combo, especially for a tax lawyer. I don't know.
Here's a question for you. Would you rather have your internet history made public or your sexting with your girl or anybody made public?
Oh, boy. Definitely the sexting with a partner.
Oh, what are you searching, dude?
Yeah. Well, okay. So personally, I'm like any human being. Like you get a wild hair up your ass and you're like, what about that?
Isn't that weird, by the way?
Yeah, but it's human.
Pull it and you're like, wait,
it's
what?
Human. Like you're just, where did my brain go there? Yeah. Actually, most of the time it would just be so lame. It would be like, how old is Bradley Cooper? Because I'm trying to like compare like which of us is doing better aging wise, or how old was Robert De Niro in this movie? Because I'm looking at him and I feel like I don't look that old, but maybe I was that old. I don't know. Like it's all dumb shit like that. Or like, what was the name of that album? Like it's all that kind of thing, which feels lame. Whereas like your sexting, I mean, if it's with a partner, like it's kind of like, shut the fuck up. Like it's fun. People are having fun. Like enjoy yourself, and I'd like to consider myself somewhat literary. I'd like to think I probably have some good game on my sex.
But you know what? The thing is, you could have a great game in the light of day read by a third party.
Yeah, it's funny.
Terrible.
Yeah, it'd be funny.
It all sounds terrible.
But I'd say I'm one of those people that like, I kind of acknowledge how lame we all are as humans, including myself. Like I don't have any illusions about like me being like the exception and that it's exceptionally sexy. Like it's as dumb as anybody else's stuff. So I don't really think either of those I'd be too shocked about. I think I'm pretty open about my lameness, and I'm pretty open about my freakiness that any of us has. And I'm pretty like, I don't think any of us is all that fascinating.
Okay, how about this? Your freakiness gets exposed, or your cuteness gets exposed when you're texting pet names and baby I miss you and good. Sugar this and that.
So my freakiness, I feel like I'm pretty hard charging and I'm pretty aggressive. So like being like, did you know Jim is a dominant sexual partner? Like, I don't think that'd be any breaking news for anybody. So that's probably wouldn't be that shocking. But yes, my like ridiculously silly, goofy, cute pet name side, that would be, I think people would be like, really? But any woman I ever dated would be like, oh no, yeah, Jim has like a very like goofy, sentimental side. Like my kids know that. Like I think a lot of people know that I have a very sentimental side. And I think if you watch some of the interviews of me where I get choked up talking about my dogs and stuff. So I don't know, like we contain multitudes. And I'd like to think that we embrace all those aspects of self. I think they're all I don't see them as competing forces. I just see them as like a dance that's happening in my head all the time, and that's how it should be. I think in a relationship, I think the best relationships are ones where you can have like the perfect combination of like wild sex and cuteness. That's a great combination, Like I saw something the other day where somebody posted, it was one of those memes where somebody posts like their aspirational relationship exchange. And it was a guy texting his girlfriend and he said, I respect you, right? And she said, yeah, why? And he said, because when I get there for about 10 minutes, it's going to seem like I don't. And I thought, that's a good text. Like that is a good I don't know any woman who wouldn't enjoy getting that text. Like, and that's a great way of parsing like listen, I love you and I think you're sweet and I'm going to treat you nice and sweet, but now I'm going to throw you the fuck around in bed. Like, and I think a lot of women would be like, oh yeah, that's great. Like, that's exactly what I want. I want someone who's going to be, men want a good girl who's only bad for them, and women want a bad boy who's only good for them, and that's what, I think the heterosexual dynamic has always been, and God bless, man, that's the eternal game. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that any of us would want all of our private stuff on display, but it's kind of like, how much sillier would you look than anybody else? Like if you're standing there naked, how much better or worse do you look than anybody else? We all look kind of goofy.
I also think there's something wrong and something weird if you don't have the cute, like if your frontward presenting person is the same as the behind closed doors person, I think you're hiding everything. You know?
And I think it's a facade then. Like I worry about people who have too much continuity to their personality.
Yes.
Like if you're like, I'm a lawyer and I drive a BMW and I play golf and it's like, okay, so you're just like, did you just like check off all those boxes? And then because that just doesn't feel authentic to me. I've trained Brazilian jiu-jitsu for close to 20 years now. And there's nothing funnier than like a guy who could just destroy everybody on the mats. And then you like see them with their daughter and they're like having their nails painted and they're like, what's that little one? Yeah, what's that, princess? Okay, let's go. And you look at him and you're like, dude, that guy could like kill me with his thumb. And he's like a little goofball with his daughter and he's like putting on a princess dress with her. And I don't know, that to me, there is nothing more charming than that. Like there's nothing more charming than the fact that people can contain all those kind of aspects of self and choose to share them. I think we would all be much poorer for it if we couldn't have like silly made up voices for our animals and silly nicknames for each other and like dumb songs that we sing to each other. Like I think all of those weird things you and your partner do that like you go like, oh my God, I would never want anyone to see that. That's like the best stuff. Like it's the best stuff and we all do it. Don't be ashamed. We all have that stuff. And if you don't have that stuff, you're missing out. Like don't be self-conscious around your partner. The more that you can sort of enjoy that, like, yeah, let's just be fools in front of each other and behind closed doors and enjoy it, like the better your life's going to be.
Epstein constantly in the news cycle,
like endlessly.
It never stops. And the same thing with the AI debate. Every week, it's kind of the same talk, but with new wrinkles.
I think this is going to be for a while, though. I think that every couple of months now, some new use case comes out for AI. Whether it's a soul version of a 50 Cent song, or whether it's cat films, or whatever, like or Sora and all of the trailers now that they're making, the fake Pixar trailers. Like there is so much stuff coming down the pipe and it's getting better. It's getting smarter. And of course, we as a culture tend to like either become far too optimistic or irrationally pessimistic instead of looking at things in a realistic way and seeing them as the sort of yin yang that they are. But yeah, I mean, everyone now is talking endlessly about, either the doomer case of this and how it's going to destroy the movie industry and destroy the workforce and kill the economy and everything's going to fall apart, or we're going to have a techno utopia where everyone's just going to have unlimited income and no one's going to have to work. And I think reality shows us that it's going to be some combination of the two things. But the part we're having a hard time with is the endings. And as a divorce lawyer, I'm always interested in endings. I find endings fascinating. It's why I was a hospice volunteer. It's why I'm a divorce lawyer. AI is innovation. And innovation kills what came before it very often. And so there is going to be a whole segment. Look at my own firm. ChatGPT does the work of about 4 paralegals and at 1/1000th of the expense. You know, we pay a flat rate per month to have like business level access to it. And it does the work of 4 or 5 paralegals better and faster. And that is because it is large language models are very good at when you feed them a giant data set and say, find me all the examples of XYZ. It's not good at analyzing data. It's not good at, find a good argument to be made about this or research this legal issue for me. It's not good at that yet. But what it is good at is, here's 8 days of trial transcripts. Give me the line and page and date of testimony of each witness who talked about this particular issue. And it spits that back out in 30 seconds, where it used to take 3 paralegals 2 days to do that kind of thing for a post-trial memo or for a brief or for a motion that's being submitted. So I think we have to realize that the world is going to continue to change very, very rapidly.
Do you think it's an example where if you are alive and an adult and entrenched in the world as it is now, those are the people I think who are most offended by this? Like, it's ruining art, it's ruining culture. Yeah. And then maybe one generation removed from that is not going to have that connection to the past and might just accept it more readily.
I think rigidity is becoming very de rigueur. Like, I think that the idea of like, no, this is how we did it and we shouldn't do it different than that. Like, the term conservative came from conservation, right? Like a conservative was a person who said, hey, there are things in our society like religion and the family structure, and those should be conserved. They have value, right? And liberalism was the idea of, okay, we're going to progress from that. We're going to move from that. We're going to get rid of outdated models that don't suit us anymore or that have negative second order effects. So we lost that plot, in the political discourse. But there are people that have a very conservative approach, meaning they're looking at AI and going, wait, why do we have to have new ways of doing these things? Like, music was made by musicians and that was good. Books were written by writers and that was good. And I think there's value to be said in that. But to suggest that, therefore, let's just stop building technologies because we're going to, like, it's a very Luddite or neo-Luddite stance, and it's not realistic. Like, the genie's out of the bottle, things are going to change now. So I think we have to accept the fact that does not mean everything is going to change. It doesn't mean we should throw the baby out with the bathwater. But to suggest, like, it already, looking at Sora and some of these large language models, the video that can be made, the films that can be made. If you think that Hollywood is going to continue to do a $200 million CGI budget for something that can be done pretty close to that level of quality by a large language model for almost no money, you're delusional, especially with the number of people that are not going to the movies now. So the return is just not coming on that investment. So look, there's going to be some big changes. The happiest people are going to be people that learn to sort of let those changes wash over you, to not rigidly hold on to things. There's a chapter in my book where I use a concept in jiu-jitsu that one of my instructors, Paul Schreiner, taught me. He said you should have tight grips and loose arms. Like, if you have tight grips on someone, you've connected yourself to their body and they're controlling your arms with their body. Whereas if you have tight grips but loose arms, they can still move, but you have control over them. I think we have to have tight grips and loose arms. I think we have to hold on to the pieces that are most important to us, but be flexible in the ways we're approaching these things and be flexible in our adaptation of technology into these models. Don't be afraid of losing all of your value. See this as a potential enhancement to your value or shifting in the way you can use your job. Technology has always been an improved means to an unimproved end. Technology has always offered us real solutions to imaginary problems and imaginary solutions to real problems. And technology, when you apply it to an efficient system, has always magnified the efficiency. And when you apply it to an inefficient system, has always magnified the inefficiency. So those are basic rules of technology that we all need to just accept as fact and move within.
You just dropped quite a few gems there.
Boom!
But I will say, one, if you can wrap up with this Sexton-ism here, you just kind of mentioned it earlier, the love is loaned.
Yeah, I think that's actually a Sexton-ism. Yeah,
Go a little in depth with that one, because I think that's a really good one.
We'll make that today's Sexton-ism. Today's Sexton-ism is, love is not permanently gifted, it's loaned. The more that you realize every relationship ends. It ends in death, divorce, breakup, but it ends. And that's why it's kind of odd. It's one of those few things in life you go, I really hope this ends in death. But the truth is, like, the relationships end. Love is not permanently gifted. It's loaned to you. And the more that you realize that and the more you keep that in your line of sight, the better. You know, I have a friend who I talk about pretty often, Chris, who's married to another friend of mine, Amy. They've been married almost 30 years now, 2 kids, survived all kinds of economic instability, cancer. I mean, all kinds of things. They have been through the fire and they love each other in a way that still it's like shocking to watch. Like they're so fond of each other. And he still refers to her as like his girlfriend. Like he's like, oh, my girl's, you know, I'm taking my girl away, you know? And she talks about him like, oh, my boyfriend's coming home from his business trip. And it's like, they've been married for 3 decades, you know, and they talk about each other that way. And I talked to him once about like, how do you have that level of connection to her? And how does she's still so crazy about you? And he has a sales background. And he said, you know, I'm always trying to close the deal with her. He's like, you know, you meet a woman and you want to get her number and you like start to like want to close the deal. Like you're trying to sell her on you. He's like, and then you get her and you just start to go like, meh, all right, I have that now. He's like, and I just act like, you know what? Like always be closing. Like just always be like, nope, I'm still trying to impress her. I'm still trying to, you know, and by the way, she in turn is still trying, like she's still his girlfriend. Like she's still like, he's the smartest, coolest, sexiest guy in the world. She's crazy about him. And it works. Like it works because of that. They're not tearing each other down. They're just building each other up. So I think they both have realized that love is not gifted to you permanently, that it's loaned. And I think the more that you realize that something is transient and that it will end, it's what makes it special. You know, the sunset is beautiful because it's transient. You know, nothing gold can stay. And so there is something really beautiful about when you acknowledge that and realize the transient nature of it. You know, if you, wherever you've gone on vacation that you enjoyed, if you went, I'm going to move here and live here now, it would just turn into the place where you live. You know, no matter how great of a car you see out there, eventually it's just your car. You know, and even the most beautiful woman in the world, someone somewhere is fucking tired of that. You know, and the truth is like that is because it is not permanently gifted, it's loaned. That's going to do it for today's show, folks. Thanks for joining us once again. Remember to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It really does help the channel, which is growing every single day thanks to you, and we appreciate every single one of you. Go to sextonshow.com. Give us your questions, your comments, your feedback, what you want more of, what you want less of. You can tell me you like or dislike my haircut. I won't read it, but they will, and they'll tell me what they think. And it's great to see you. Join us again, but for now, we are adjourned.